This is Robert Demers for Conman here at the New York Comic Con, and I'm here with Brahm Revel, who is the creator of Guerillas and his work on the upcoming Marvel Knights X-Men. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to be here, and this is my first table at a con ever, so
Congratulations.
it's a milestone of sorts, and so far it's been fun. It's nice being on this side of the table and getting to sit down. It's you have a lot more energy at the end of the day.
What was it about comics that first got you hooked?
Well, I would say that I had a lot of different types of comics around me. Like looking back, my mom got me like Tintins and Asterixes, and I did get some early Marvel stuff, just from the wire racks and stuff. But really, the thing that really got me into it was when Ninja Turtles came out, and that got me into the comic book store, as opposed to just going to the Five and Dime or whatever. And once I got in the comic book store, I was like, there's so much stuff. And I guess it was the characters, the stories, adventure. I was always into drawing and making art, and so I liked the idea that you could create these worlds all by yourself. Like, if you had to make a movie, you need to get all these different people, but you could take the stories took me to other worlds just with pens and paper, and that really that made me, I think that was the thing that really grabbed me, that made me really love comics. And it was early on that I was like, I want to do this, and it took me a while, but now I'm kind of doing it.
Were there any writers or artists that inspired your own work?
There's been many, and they change, as I grow and kind of get into the styles have changed. Early on, I was very into, Frank Miller at in the early 80s, not early 80s, I'm dating myself, I'd say the mid to late 80s, all the Frank Miller stuff, Ronin and Dark Knight Returns, all the stuff that he did with Klaus Janson, I really enjoyed. I got into Simon Bisley for a while in the kind of early 90s, and he was a big influence. You wouldn't see that in my work now, but he was a huge influence early. And now I would say my biggest influences are probably Mike Mignola is big. I'm a big Alex Toth fan, who even though he's an older guy, I discovered him later, Who else? I'm a big fan of Jorge Zaffino, who he did some Marvel stuff in the early 90s, but he has a very brushy, inky, kind of a loose style, but he's an excellent draftsman. So he gets away with just kind of throwing ink around, but it's actually built on this foundation of really, really good draftsmanship. And who else? Love and Rockets, Jaime Hernandez. He was a big influence in that kind of black and white, simple artwork. There has been so many. In terms of story, writers, I would say my influences are probably more diverse than just comics. They come from movies and novels as well as comics. But the artist could really keep me with the book, even when I follow artists more than I follow writers. Let's put it like that. There's a lot of contemporary people too that I think are coming out now that have wide variety of styles, aren't kind of cookie cutter, that I'm really, really enjoying. people like Jason Latour, Paul Azazeta, who else? Nathan Fox. I like the guys that like have kind of brushy styles and like to throw ink around.
You're one of the few people nowadays that you write and illustrate all your books, which is really impressive, by the way. What is your process going from start to finish when you're creating an issue?
Well, I try to. I feel like comics are very like they're all about rhythm and beats. So I try to break down, like, you know, for something like Marvel Knights, you have like a page limit. For something like Guerillas, I can kind of stretch it. It doesn't matter as much. So when you have that restriction of like 20 pages, you gotta like make sure that what fits and how you're gonna get that to fit. So I try to break down pages into like this happens, page by page. And once I think that what I want to write is going to fit, then I'll go to script. And there is a lot of back and forth because certain things, stuff that's more visual storytelling, which I like to get in as much as possible, where there's not, the action isn't described as much as shown. That kind of stuff, it's less important to, you know, script out. But then when you get into the big conversation parts, you really got to make sure that's down before you get into the paneling. So that's what's nice about writing and drawing your own stuff, is you do get to kind of go back and forth between, you know, working it out a little visually, then okay, that's going to work, and then this part needs to be scripted a little bit more before we get to the thumbnail process. So I work a lot of that kind of stuff out as best as I can, and then it's thumbs. And thumbs are like, I think, the most important part, because the thumbs is where you break down the real beats of the story and does it fit? Is it working? Once I get my thumbs, and I do fairly tight thumbs, probably on a 8.5 by 10 sheet of paper, I'll do a spread. Once I got those down pretty tight, I'll blow them up and use them to kind of go over them on a light box, and that helps. The foundation of the composition and whatnot is already there. And I try to keep the roughs fairly simple, so that when I'm inking, there's still drawing happening. I'm not just like tracing every line. I'm still drawing a little bit in ink, and that's it. Then it's just scanning and sending it in.